Never worn one of these before. So how many of you were told, around the ripe age of 18, to go out into the world and to find your passion? And how many of you spent the better part of the years following racked with anxiety about finding said passion? It's a lot of pressure to put on ourselves. It's a lot of pressure to put on a single hobby or a job or a relationship. But this is the advice that most of us are handed. And you see, this advice that your passion just simply needs to be found, and once found, it will be fully formed, leading to effortless work that you'll never run out of motivation for. It's not sound advice. But it's what's sold to us by those who have a lot of power to influence us, isn't it? It leads us to believe that we have to go find our passion first, and then meaningful work will appear right at our fingertips. For the purpose of this talk, I'm going to call this idea the passion hypothesis, a term coined by Cal Newport, who is a computer science professor at Georgetown and the author of a few self-help books. But I guess the question is, for us at least, does this passion hypothesis set us up for disappointment when it comes to finding meaning and happiness in our vocation? Maybe. Let's start at the beginning. In 2002, Canadian psychologist Richard Vallerand conducted a study at a university. Of all of the university students who identified that they had a passion, which wasn't all of them, out of those passions, 3% of them actually coincided with a job or an opportunity for further education. So yeah, this data would suggest that we're likely set up for disappointment early on. But data doesn't always lend itself to a good story. So we'll take a look at my experience for anecdotal evidence. In college, I changed my major 5 times. 6 if you count undecided, the label under which I sat for several months. I almost transferred to a different school to pursue nursing because I found myself in a bookstore one day looking for a book that would point me toward my passion, and I ended up picking up Chicken Soup for the Nurse's Soul. I thought that because I cried after reading one of the stories, it meant that I was supposed to be a nurse. Turns out I'm just a relatively emotional human who is completely disgusted by most bodily fluids. But I found myself halfway through my college career paralyzed by this confusion and anxiety about what to do with my life. I had to figure it out, and I was running out of time to do it. So I went to my academic advisor. I took every career compatibility test that my school offered. I talked to my mentors. I talked to my friends. I read articles. I read blogs. I basically just waited until something that someone suggested made all of my uncertainty go away. I was being swindled by this passion hypothesis. I didn't get very far. So I'm about to poke some holes in this passion hypothesis and bring to light some of the lies that many of us allow our subconscious to operate under every day. My hope is that this might bring to light for you some of the ways in which you're selling yourself short, and then we can approach redemption together. Does that sound good? Great. One of the first and most serious mistakes that we make here is believing the lie that the key to occupational happiness is to first find your one true passion and then find a job that directly matches that passion. Do what you love and the money will follow, etc., etc. How many successful people hand out this advice like it's the key to life? I'll answer. A lot. But the problem with this advice is that it's unclear. It's incomplete. It fails to describe how people actually end up with compelling careers. If we just pressed in a little more and looked at the lives of so many successful people, we'd see that their success did not result directly from them finding that one true passion and then finding a job directly after that matched that passion. The second mistake we make here is allowing this call to follow our passion blindly literally cause us to put blinders up to other interests. We think that since we were passionate about fill in the blank as a child, we should only pursue fill in the blank as an adult. Or if a new interest doesn't immediately feel like our one true passion, we drop it. And this causes us to miss out on learning experiences, to learn about new things, and we don't get to try our hand at something that we might really end up liking. Diversity is so important in our life and in our world. It's important in the people we surround ourselves with, in the food that we put into our body, and the media that we consume. Why do we sell ourselves short when it comes to the things that we allow ourselves to be interested in? The third downfall in submitting to this hypothesis comes when we start believing that old saying, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. It literally causes us to think that if something feels like work, it must not be our passion. And it causes us, who maybe have thought that we found our passion early on, to put all of our eggs into one basket and then drop that basket and flee when it becomes too difficult to carry. Being passionate about something does not mean that it's always easy. It doesn't even mean that it's often easy, which leads me to my next point. One of the reasons that passion does not equal ease is because passion is a feeling, or at least it's something that we've confused with the feeling that we have when we're excited about something. But that's the thing about excitement. It doesn't last. If it did, it wouldn't be excitement, and we would not be able to function properly. Even if you're passionate about your job, that will waver. Just like our relationships, if we expect to be enamored 100% of every day in our work, we will be disappointed. So I've made my point, many points, about why blindly following this advice to find your one true passion that's been laying in wait for you all of your life is dangerous for a lot of us. It makes sense that believing in this hypothesis can lead to chronic job shifting, to disappointment, and to unrelenting angst when our reality inevitably does not live up to our dreams. But I won't leave you here. There's hope. Rather than operating under a fixed mindset, which leads to much of what I've been harping on for this whole talk, I'm going to give you some steps for a growth mindset. In other words, instead of telling you how to find your passion, we're going to talk about some ways that you can refine your passion. You guys ready? Hit pause. Stop thinking about it. Stop taking expensive psychology tests, recalling your childhood interests, asking others what you should do. Just take a break from searching and develop skills where you are now. Release the pressure. You're not running out of time. You haven't missed it. And your career is still evolving. Reframe your perception. It's not a race to passion. It's a journey. Just try something. Actually, try many things. This is the advice that I got in college that finally broke my analysis paralysis. I just tried something. I tried a lot of things, I failed at a lot of things, and I figured out what I liked and what I didn't. Even today, in a job that I'm fond of and I would consider myself happy in, I still take time to explore subjects that I don't know anything about, to listen to people who are elbow deep in work that I would never consider doing. And I try to constantly evolve my interests, never holding on too tightly to the things that should never have the power to define my life anyway. And lucky for us, we work in this place that encourages, practically begs us to step out of our comfort zone and pursue new interests and grow every day. So don't let yourself be paralyzed or trapped within the confines of the passion hypothesis. Just take a step and become good at something. Develop a skill, even if it's not what you think is your one true passion. You never know how that can help you further down the road or lead to something that you're even more excited about. But know that it won't be easy, and be okay with failing. It happens. If we keep failing and we keep learning and we keep growing, but when we believe that it's okay to fail and that we can change and we can improve, we're much more likely to work at developing skills and refining our passion than just believing that we've either got it or we don't. Telling people to go and discover their passion is a lot like leading them down a rabbit trail. Passions will change and they'll develop, and we should be able to embrace this. This will help us succeed at the job we have, motivate us to make our job fulfilling, and keep us from pining for that non-existent, perfectly customized job. If we start with the right skills, our jobs become customized to us as we grow with them. So you can stop waiting to discover your passion. And I'll leave you with this quote, which I think ties a nice bow on what I've covered today. It's through a process of investment and development that you develop an abiding passion in a field. Thank you.